The speed operators all have some impact on the motion of your particles. The two elements a speed operator gives to your particles is a speed and a direction to travel in, which makes sense as you cannot have a speed without an associated direction of travel. Though of course you can actually have a direction of travel without any speed. Both of these factors can be manipulated by other operators and tested for in the build logic of your flow. And in this way you can control the speed of your particles and also use the speed of your particles to actually pass particles to new events. So let's start by having a look at the speed operator. Okay, here you can see I have a flow which has already been produced, and this is to demonstrate the speed operator. And you can see we're birthing particles on frame 0. We've got 200 of those. We're then positioning them on this icon, and we're using the edges of the icon. We have a speed operator, which I'll come to in a second. Then we have shape instance, which has been used to instance a cylinder, so we can actually get a better idea of the orientation of the particles, so we can see the direction the particles are traveling in. Then we have a rotation, which is using speed follow, and that's actually aligning the particles with the direction of the travel, which is set up by speed. Then we're displaying the particles, and then we have an age test here, which will pass the particles to another event when we come to a later part of this particular tutorial. So let's go back to the speed operator and see what options we have here. You can see that it has a speed parameter, and that's pretty obvious really. That's, as far as I understand it, units per second. Below that you have a variation parameter, and as with a lot of other operators, that obviously will add its value and subtract its value from the speed value. So if you use a variation of 10, you'd have an effective speed range of 5 to 25. Then you have a direction, and you can see you have a flyout here and you have various options. You can see at the moment we're using icon center out. You have reverse, which will actually reverse the direction of travel. And then you have a divergence, and this will actually give some variety to the direction of travel. So it's quite useful to give your particles a little bit more variety in the direction that they're going to travel in. Then for the random elements within this particular operator, we have the usual uniqueness values, so we can randomize the various random elements. So let's have a look at the different operations here that you can choose. We'll choose along icon arrow, and you can see all our particles have now aligned to a sort of vertical orientation, and you can see there's the arrow right in the middle of our icon. There's the arrow there. Now the arrow is pointing in this direction, so the particles, you know, would fly. You'd expect them to fly off in this direction. So if we scrub the timeline, you can see that this is the case. They're all traveling at the same speed. There's no actual variation here, so I'll just put in a variation. I'll make it very random, so I'll just put one value less than this. So there you go. We have a range now of between 1 and 29. So now if I scrub the timeline, you can see some particles are moving very, very slowly. They're just using the 1 value, and then it ranges all the way up to 29. So we get this nice random selection of speeds being applied to our particles. So you can see that's quite a simple choice. The speed is just assigned, and it's aligned along the arrow of the icon. So if I hit reverse and then scrub, you can see it's reversed the actual direction of travel. So, you know, a very quick way to just flip the direction of travel that you're assigning. I'll turn that off again, and now I'll actually change the divergence value. So I'll go for 22 degrees. There you see the direction of travel is now offset slightly at random from the actual icon arrow. And if I hit the seed, you can see I can change the random seed and the distribution of the randomness. If we have a look at the next option, it's icon center out. So what it's doing in this case is it's taking the 3D position of, I'll just set this back to 0 so we get a clearer display. It's using the 3D position of each particle, and it's then tracing that back to the center of the icon, and it's using that angle as the angle for its direction of travel. So all the particles will now